You're watching VinylicPumaGaming. Hey guys, back with another Fallout 4 video, and today I want to go ahead and talk about Fallout 4's memory den, as well as some of the technology that we see there. Now, this location was always pretty interesting to me, and I feel like while the area does have some memorable moments, both from the main quest and some of the side quests, I get the feeling that Bethesda maybe could have done a lot more really interesting and thought-provoking stuff with this particular area. Now, before we start, while I will be critical of Bethesda in this video, I am doing so more to maybe give some ideas to either modders for Fallout 4, or maybe even Bethesda or the future developers for future Fallout games. I think there was definitely a lot that Bethesda could do with this particular area, but couldn't due to either time constraints or something else. However, without further ado, let's jump on in and discuss what the memory den is for the uninitiated. So the memory den is a location in the town of Goodneighbor in Fallout 4. If you've played through the main quest, you come to the memory den during the quest Dangerous Minds. During Dangerous Minds, you explore some of Kellogg's memories to determine how Institute personnel enter and leave their own headquarters. And you also discover what Kellogg has done with your son Sean, leading up to your final encounter with Kellogg in the previous mission. Sadly, there isn't really any other reason to come to the memory den, save for a few quests. Those quests are the Silver Shroud, which involves Kent Connolly and the player running around killing evil raiders in a Silver Shroud costume, Emergent Behavior, which allows the player to transfer Curie's consciousness out of her Miss Nannybot body and into a Generation 3 synth body, a railroad quest called Memory Interrupted, which involves clearing Institute synths out of Malden Center, so a Generation 3 synth named H222 can be transported safely, and a generic quest called Memory Den, which allows the player to relive a recent memory, which is where Sean is kidnapped in Vault 111. While it's not like Bethesda didn't come up with anything interesting for the memory den, because I certainly think they did, it seems like the memory den had far more potential than what is shown in-game. One of Fallout 4's loading screens seems to point to the idea that the memory den is a far superior product to traditional chems that we see throughout the surrounding area of Goodneighbor. The loading screen reads, and I quote, "While chems are plentiful in Goodneighbor, there are those who claim the memory den offers the best high possible, the experience of reliving the past." This seems to be backed up by a lot of the terminal entries that we can read at this particular location. According to Irma's terminal, she currently has about 5 clients that she sees on a regular basis. These are Kent Connolly, Hancock, Fred Allen, Claire Hutchins, and Daisy. In Irma's terminal entries, she describes the memories that each one of these NPCs relives. Kent Connolly appears to be one of the heavier users of the memory loungers. Irma says that, quote, all of his memories are about that Silver Shroud radio show he's always going on about. Irma also mentions that some of the locals gossip about the memory den taking advantage of him since they let him indulge in his own world of fantasy. And Irma also mentions that Dr. Amari programmed some safety settings into his very own lounger so he doesn't starve himself to death. What we can glean from this is that Kent is someone that's clearly addicted to using a memory lounger. Now, Irma doesn't really say a whole lot about Hancock's memories, though she does mention that Hancock does appear to experience memories from before he was transformed into a ghoul. She simply says, quote, "If you thought he was handsome and dangerous now, you should have seen him before he was turned into a ghoul." There's also the local chems merchant, Fred Allen, who you can find at the Hotel Rexford location next door to the memory den. Irma seems to indicate that Fred likes to get high on actual drugs, then enter the memory den to relive memories of himself getting addicted to another drug. Claire Hutchins, also of Hotel Rexford, is mentioned to relive the memories of her former husband, and one of the local Goodneighbor ghouls, Daisy, is mentioned to dislike using the memory den. However, at the end of the day, she may end up going there to relive some of her memories from before the Great War. Perhaps they were memories of her husband that was killed by the Chinese during America's war with China. Based on the resolutions of many of the in-game quests, we also know that the Memory Den and the Memory Lounger technology there appears to have the ability to transfer consciousness. As mentioned earlier, the Emergent Behavior side quest involves transferring the knowledge of Curie into a Generation 3 synth body. We also know that the Railroad uses the Memory Den to wipe Generation 3 synths' memories to make them much more difficult for the Institute to track down. Of course, during the main quest, you come here and you're able to view Kellogg's recent memories as well, because this is how you discovered that Institute operatives use teleportation to enter and exit the Institute. So we know for sure that the Memory Den's Memory Loungers are capable of a couple different things. The most common application is that the Memory Lounger is used to relive or simulate previous memories and make you feel like you're actually there. And in the case of Curie, we know that the Memory Lounger could presumably be used to transfer the consciousness of robots into synth bodies. There's also the possibility to wipe consciousness from a synth and replace it with an entirely new consciousness to help conceal that synth's identity. In the case of humans or ghouls, the Memory Den could presumably also be used to view their own or another person's memories. It also might not be that far of a stretch to say that it's possible to construct memories for one to experience while they are in the Memory Lounger. Simulation technology has certainly been seen in Fallout 3, where the player can visit Vault 112. In Vault 112, the Vault residents are living in a virtual reality simulation of Tranquility Lane under the control of Stanislaus Braun. Alternatively, there's also the Anchorage simulation from the Operation Anchorage DLC, which was designed to train American soldiers from before the war to fight in combat. At the end of the simulation, the Lone Wanderer gains the ability to wear power armor, presumably learning it from the training that they receive during the simulation. We also know from Fallout New Vegas that the Mojave chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel and even the Boomers at Nellis Air Force Base use virtual reality simulations to train for combat or to learn how to fly bomber-type airplanes. The thing is, the Memory Den as well as the Memory Loungers in Fallout 4 had so much more potential than what we actually see in the game. Enter the following hypothetical scenario for a moment. Let's say Irma was able to view and store the memories of people that use her Memory Loungers. Afterwards, she had the ability to modify certain aspects of the memory to make it more or less appealing, and then she sold that as a product to the locals of Goodneighbor or to other people throughout downtown Boston or the Commonwealth. Imagine for a moment, just like the real-world movie Total Recall, that you could experience the perfect memory. For example, maybe you could find the love of your life, or maybe you could experience a memory involving a tense bank heist. Perhaps there are entirely synthetic memories that Irma or other people could create to experience in the Memory Den. In both a benign and sinister light, perhaps the Memory Loungers could be used to teach people various skills. We know this is possible with other virtual reality simulators that are prevalent throughout the Fallout universe, where the Brotherhood of Steel's Mojave chapter trains using virtual reality simulation, as do the Boomers at the Nellis Air Force Base. Perhaps if this technology was combined with the ability to store memories, then the Brotherhood could construct their own simulations based on the experiences of some of their elite soldiers. Or more nefariously, the Memory Loungers could be used to implant harmful memories into an individual's psyche. Or perhaps you could gain the ability to overwrite a person's original memories with someone else's memories. So in a sense, you would be killing who that person ever was and what they could ever become. All of these scenarios could have produced really wild and crazy situations throughout Fallout's main questline, as well as some of the optional side quests. As an example, perhaps you could embark on a quest in Fallout 4 that involves acquiring memories for Irma at the Memory Den. So what you do is during your travels, you meet a wide variety of NPCs, and while talking to them, they recount some of their memories. Maybe with a speech check, you can convince them to go to Goodneighbor, where Irma could upload their memory onto some kind of data store where she can modify them later to be more or less entertaining. Alternatively, perhaps there could have been a quest where the player character enters the memory lounger and recounts their experiences of being a soldier in the military if they picked Nate, or as a lawyer working on a case if the player chose Nora. This could have brought some interesting perspective to the player character's backstory and experiences before October 23rd, 2077, when the bombs started to fall. I think I've mentioned this before in some previous videos I've made, but I've always been surprised by the fact that Kellogg doesn't resurface in Nick Valentine after Nick experiences Kellogg's memories. I always thought this was a cool scene, and to be honest, it startled me the first time it ever happened. However, this never happens again in Fallout 4, and if you ask me, that was definitely a missed opportunity. It's unclear why the memory den wasn't explored more, and it's possible that Bethesda may have planned for it, but they simply didn't have the time to implement everything that they wanted to do with it. My hope is that the next Fallout game will feature memory loungers more, as I think it's a really interesting concept. We know that the Fallout universe has a lot of simulation technology, and it could have been really interesting to meet people, bring them to the memory den, and experience their memories, both as a part of the main plot, which is something Bethesda definitely did, as well as part of the game's numerous side quests to give us more insight into the lore, or to give the player the ability to learn new perks. All in all, the Memory Loungers and Memory Den in general is a really interesting place, and it's a shame that Bethesda just didn't get to elaborate on it more for Fallout 4. Hopefully, we'll see something more expansive in the next Fallout game. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up this particular video. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like and let me know, what do you think about the Memory Den, and what do you think about the Memory Lounger technology in the Memory Den? Leave it in the comments below, but otherwise, like this video if you liked it, click the bell to join the notification squad, and as always, take care, and I'll see y'all next time.